What's going on, everybody? Chase with iDub Hockey here today with Tyler from True Hockey at your skate factory here in Winnipeg. But we're going to walk you through how to bake your brand new True skates at home. So let's say just got a pair of the new hazardous skates delivered. What are we going to do first? What should I prepare with and have ready before I actually go ahead and bake these?
Yeah, so once you receive your skates, you're going to want to open up that box. You're going to have a few instructions in here. You're going to have your skate care sheet. It's going to tell you about the settings for your oven. So you're going to want to preheat your oven. That's going to be the first thing you want to do. Don't put the skates in and then turn it preheat. You're going to want it set to 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to end up putting those skates in for about 10 minutes. But before you get to that process, another tool you're going to want to have is some shrink wrap and a removal tool. And this could be something as simple as scissors. So with that, if you're getting the new hazardous skates, you're gonna have this great heat bag. So this is actually an oven-safe bag, which you can put in your oven at home and lay on the rack to protect your skates from getting any grill grease on them. And with that here, we have a great feature of a heat-sensitive sticker. So when that sticker hits that desired temperature of 200 degrees Fahrenheit, it's gonna turn black, and that's gonna notify that you've hit the desired temperature. So with that, I'm gonna take my skates out of the box. I'm gonna have them laced up to one eyelet from the top. I want to make sure it's going to be really easy to get those skates on. So I'm going to have those laces loosened off. I'm going to have that tongue pulled forward before I put them in the oven. So just like this, it's going to be nice and easy to get that skate on while it's hot. And I'll put that into the oven, laying on its side, and leave it for 10 minutes at 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
And just to clarify, don't put them inside of the bag, put them on top of the bag, right?
Yes, that's right. Put them on top of the bag. You could put them inside, that just restricts the airflow, so it's best to put them on top of the bag.
Well, let's go ahead and throw these in the oven.
All right, let's do it.
And so while we wait for the skates in the oven, it's a good time to maybe think about some skates you've used in the past. And if you've ever had any issues or hot spots, whether it be, one of those unique bumps that you find either at the back of the heel or the inside of the foot, is there anything we can do to game plan and maybe attack that during the baking process?
Yeah, absolutely. You always want to be kind of ahead of any problems that you may encounter. So if you have a history of having a navicular bone spur or a Hagelin's bump on the back of your heel, you want to attack that right away. So what we have a technique is called the tissue technique. So with the tissue technique, it's as simple as having some paper towel that you can fold up and roll over on itself, and a pair of scissors. So once you've identified that area, if it's a navicular bone spur, right, I'm gonna cut that shape out. So right now I have it nice and thick and rounded on itself. Cut that shape out, kind of like a big donut. And what I'll do is I can tape that onto my foot or just put it inside my sock, roll my sock back over top. And what's gonna happen is when I heat mold my skates and I have that tissue in there, it's gonna compress the foam in that area, providing more space and therefore applying less pressure to that sore spot that I may have.
So with that in mind, I think I just heard the oven ding in the background. Let's go grab the skates.
Let's do it. So I've just taken my skates out of the oven. They're nice and hot right now. I just want to be careful of the eyelets. They get nice and warm, as well as the steel. So I'm just going to watch I'm not touching those too much. I'm going to take my shoes off. I want to be wearing nice long socks when I'm doing this process, preferably not ankle socks. All right, so the skate's nice and opened up. I can slide my foot in there nice and easy. Still want to get my heel back, so I'll do a little heel tap. Get into the back of the skate, and I'm gonna lace to 75% tension. I don't need to crank too hard.
And as you're lacing these up, are you trying to go in a certain direction, whether it's out or up? Or
Yeah, I'm pulling a little bit more outward to get it tight rather than upward and forward. I don't wanna risk ripping my eyelets out.
Right.
Right? So now that I've gotten up to the top eyelet here, I'm gonna tie it up. And then I'm gonna grab my shrink wrap. So I'm gonna find the edge of that roll. There we go. So I'll wrap that around, a little pressure. Now with each wrap, it's gonna get progressively tighter, and I wanna simulate how I wanna tighten my skates. So this is a nice 360-degree wrap. It pulls in everywhere. Rather than just the laces focusing on the front, I can get it nice and tight. I personally like to focus on wrapping under the heel and then working up around to the top.
And what are you accomplishing by specifically working that area there?
So by working the heel area, I'm pulling and cinching my foot backward into the skate.
Not just backwards or not just down, but kind of in that 3D.
That's right, yeah, pulling it in, yeah. And I don't like to go too much above the top eyelet. I don't want the top of the skate rolling in, so I go just below or just to that top skate eyelet there around the back. So I'll do a few passes.
What level of tension are you wrapping that in? I know you said to emulate the feel how you want the skate to feel, but if you had to guess, like 75% or?
You know, you can get it surprisingly tight. Personally, I like it very tight, so I maybe overkill it, but you don't have to go too extreme, but I would say somewhere between 75 to 100% of full tension that you're looking for, which is great with the shrink wrap. You just might have to use more of it. So that's getting nice and tight for me. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna get my other skate on. Slide my foot in, get my heel back. Tighten those laces again. That's 70-75% tension. There we go, pulling the laces outward. Make sure my tongue is nicely slanted. There we go. Then again, I'll start with my shrink wrap. The hardest part is getting it started sometimes. Here we go. So hold it on top at first, wrap it around.
And like you said, not covering the top eyelet because you don't want to make it difficult to put the skate in. You're looking for how tight you want it around your foot after you're done baking, right?
That's right. And again, I really want to cinch my foot back into that heel pocket. Another thing you can do too, if you actually want to get it tighter in the forefoot, I don't need to, I'm already quite content with how tight it is up front, but I could actually move up front and I could go underneath here and then move that around. And again, it always helps if you have somebody that, helping you, but you can do this independently. So I just wanted to show you that today.
So while you don't need to, unless you feel like you have a little too much room on the top of your foot, that's not something that you need to do, but if you do feel like you have a little too much volume, negative volume in the boot there, that would be a good option as well.
Exactly. So now that I'm nice and tight, I want to sit in a nice skating position. So knees straight up, right? I don't want to be dropping in or rolling out. Knees straight up and down, shoulder width apart here, and keeping my knees forward over my toes. And I'm just going to rest for the next 10 minutes, and then I'll cut the shrink wrap off, take my skates off.
And how soon are you going to be able to get out there and rip these skates up?
Typically, we recommend 24 hours. If you wanted to cool them in your freezer for a couple hours, you can maybe get on them after 4.
Okay.
So we do try to get you to wait a little bit,
right.
But 24 hours ideal. Yeah, if you're in a pinch, throw them in the freezer.
I see. And so any other, pretty unique tips or tricks that, obviously you guys are the experts here, that you could maybe recommend that someone might not know of or might not have heard of reading over that pamphlet that's included with the skate box?
Yeah, for sure. A great tip is we get a lot of wrap out of our skates, which is fantastic, but it can lend to making it more difficult to put your foot in. So what you may want to do is what we call an eyelet cuff flare. So after I take my skates off, I can actually show you that, and I'll actually flare out the eyelet cuff around the second and third eyelet, so it's easier to get my foot in and out.
I see.
Now, we have so much wrap, some people aren't used to that. So some people really like that. We have players that say, oh, I love it, how hard it is to get my foot in the skate. And you have other people who feel the opposite. So that way you can kind of tailor the skate fit to your needs.
And so if this is my first time baking a pair of skates, obviously I'm going to be in for a big shock because not only has heat molding really evolved the skate game, but heat molding a true skate is second to none out there. So for that first time player that's sitting here just wondering, did I make the right decision? What can they expect to feel after the shrink wrap method and just baking their new true skates? What are they gonna feel differently from the first time they tried it on?
Yeah, the heat fit process for a true skate is absolutely critical. It's one of the foundations of our fit, and you'll see us repeat that time and time again. So the thermoplastics baked into our skates really soften and expand and adjust and then reform to your foot shape. And the foams as well that we're using are designed to reform to your foot shape. So it's absolutely critical that you heat mold. after you're done heat molding and you put that skate back on, it's really gonna feel like home. We also don't like people to put their skates on cold. We want you to put your skates in the oven before you put them on. Some people are too excited to do that. They're gonna get the box, put the skates on.
Yeah.
Put them in the oven, then put the skates on. That fit experience, that first time feel is gonna be fantastic.
Because that's just how drastically they change and adapt to your foot, and everyone has such a unique foot shape out there that out of the box they might not be the most comfortable, but out of the oven they're gonna feel like a custom skate.
Yeah, it's night and day. It's almost not even comparable. So.
So it's pretty safe to say, don't try on the True skates without baking them.
Exactly.
And let's say I go through the baking process, my season ends a little quickly, we don't make a big push in playoffs. I'm hanging out in flip-flops all summer long. My foot tends to flatten out a little bit and maybe changes shape over the off season. Is it safe, or how many times would you recommend being able to rebake these just to make sure I'm always dialed in with the perfect fit?
Yeah, there's no limit to how many times you can reheat mold your skates. And to your point, having those summer feet, right, being out in flip-flops and hot temperatures, you're gonna have a little bit more swelling in your feet, so that changes the volume of your foot. So reheat molding as many times as you like.
Awesome. Well, is there any last tips you'd like to throw out before we wrap this up?
No, I think just make sure you preheat your oven and be safe doing so, and enjoy your skates.
Awesome, Tyler. Well, thanks again for having us out here and walking us through how to bake your True skates at home.
Hey, my pleasure.
And for you at home that want to check out all of these skates from True Hockey, make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.